Hey Jason, how you doing? Okay, so let's go and take a look. Now, remember, we're talking about emphasis and contrast in the attempt to create hierarchy in a composition, right? So we're looking at emphasis and contrast. We're looking at contrasts based on mostly on scale and color, and in this particular case, it's almost pattern as well. So the idea here is to establish different contrasts in order to draw attention to specific areas in a composition to let the viewer know that that specific area is probably more important than the areas that don't have the same emphasis. And I think you get that. I do. I think that you get that. Now, there's a couple of things we can do here. You've got scale emphasis here. That's good. That's good. So the viewer knows that this is the most important thing on the card, right? Now, we can reinforce that. Now, remember, in Western countries, we read top to bottom, left to right. So we take that notion and we think about the order of importance. Typically, you think about a newspaper. Newspapers typically have outstanding newspaper articles typically have outstanding hierarchy, and it's based on a simple formula. Okay, it's based on the headline being the largest thing, then the subhead being a little smaller, the body copy being even smaller. So we know that the viewer is supposed to look at the headline first, then the subhead, then read the article. Okay, we can follow that lead here by taking this Roosty Brew Coffee, and clever name, by the way, and placing it up top. Okay, it's going to encroach on the logo, so we might consider scale on the logo as well. Right now, this logo I think it's really big, and I think that this logo is really big too, and that's really forcing the viewer to look there first, which is okay. But right now, I think that if we reduce the size of the logo, we'll get a little more synergy in the composition. So what we want to do is reduce the size of the logo. Bring this up here. Rooster Brew Coffee on top, then Jason Johnson. What I would do is this: I would say Rooster Brew Coffee up top, and then extra pep in your step right below that. You can keep the whole thing right aligned too. That's fine. So we have Rooster Brew Coffee, extra pep in your step, then Jason Johnson, telephone number, and then another section below that with the mailing address. So you have really four sections: the logo, the headline and subhead, the name and telephone number, and then the mailing information. Okay. Then the next piece, I think, the next piece is pretty good. You're actually using this kind of pattern here to create emphasis here. The problem here is that typing on a path sometimes causes a problem, especially on the inverted part of the path, this part, where the letters tend to really get squished together. So that's a little problematic right there, but I do understand the idea. You do type on a path right here too. I would not recommend having the underline there. I think that impedes with the readability. I would remove the path and type on an invisible path as opposed to typing on a path. Okay. Now over here, this is a little bit funny right here. This card is I think it's the weak link in the three, and the reason I say that is because it's lacking any sort of semblance of organization based on alignment. So we see this is Call Us Today, okay? And that's centered over a left aligned, will get you moving and keep your path clear, all right? What I would recommend doing is removing the second logo, increasing that logo, bringing this down here and either right or left aligning it, but keep it like we bring it right there, right align it. Call Us Today there, and then Jason Johnson with the telephone number, okay? And then the mailing address. Now, theoretically, Call Us Today would be more important than the other information that I just mentioned. So we would move scale down in that regard. Okay, I think this piece is a little bit unusual, and again, I want you to start paying attention to alignment. We'll start talking about alignment this week, but I want you to this week and next week. But I really want you to start thinking about alignment. Alignment is probably the most understood, the most misunderstood of all of the principles for design students. Alignment is very important. Now, when we talk about designing with a grid, that's all about alignment. Alignment allows clean edges. It gives the viewer a really easy way to understand where to go next, okay, as opposed to things that aren't aligned. Okay, so if this was all aligned, left aligned right here, the viewer would be assisted in knowing that we start at the top and move down. And presumably this information will get smaller in terms of its importance, right? That's hierarchy based on scale. But right now we don't have that luxury because right now the eye is being led all over. Now remember, a lot of these principles are meant to lead the eye through the composition. Right now we have this. Okay, if we follow this line right here, the leading line of this, we're going to come right over to the logo. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, what we have is a lot of negative space in here that's kind of left over, and it looks like you've placed the some text in there for a lack of a better place of putting it, so to speak. Then we have the fact that this isn't aligned here. So the eye ends up going like this. Now watch the eye, the path of the eye on this one. We start with the rooster, come over here and go straight down the line. Watch my cursor again. This is the eye movement. Start here, come over here, go straight down. Good exit strategy. Now note the path of the eye in this one. We go like this, then we go like this, then we go back over here, then we go back over here. So this one, watch my cursor, we go like this. That's it. This one we go boop, 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 boop. So it's too choppy. There's no clear path. Okay, and same thing with this one. We kind of go here, then here, then here, then here. Okay, and then if you add the logos, we're going bup, 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 as opposed to bup, like that. So you see how much more expeditious in organization alignment can be. I know we're not talking about alignment yet in class, but this is really important to note it. Okay, so for improvement here, I would say work on alignment and also work on scale, work on emphasis based on scale. Okay, other than that, I think it's a great start. Good ideas, very clever. And if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks, Jason.